Thank you, Madam Chair, and I certainly want to thank ENC for putting on this very important roundtable, and I'd like to thank all of our witnesses, and also Ms. Neville, my heart goes out to you. I'm certain that you receive the communications from other people that you do, and I think that the barriers that have been in place when I grew up as a young lady, and that other, now adults who are parenting young children had in place, where you had a social construct where purchasing drugs, especially illegal drugs, was seedy, it was underground, it was ostracized, it was shunned. That occurred in areas of town you didn't want to go to, and if you drove through those areas of town, you wanted to make sure your car doors were locked and you had a full tank of gas. That does not exist in this new underground world, which is now full in front of our children, regardless of what age, regardless of what social class, ethnicity, religion, whether you're urban or whether you're rural. And for those who think that Congress or the law doesn't really have a place in this spectrum, let me just say, as a physician, you cannot mail prescription drugs. That is illegal. It is illegal to mail prescription drugs, number one. Number two, you have to prescribe OxyContin, Valium. You have to have a DEA license to do that. You have to have, there are regulations that gauge all of those drugs. If you're in the commission of a crime, sheriff, if you're the driver in a drug deal, you're liable. But yet companies are using disappearing messages knowing that they are being involved in the commission of a crime, whether it's drug dealing, whether it's selling the drugs, whether it's where the money goes, whether it's delivering the drugs into households. And we as parents are supposed to be the ones that are solely responsible for making sure that our children, one, aren't on the apps, or two, don't have a phone, or three, don't get involved with people who, because of the way social media is and the way they've grown up with social media, they see it as a non-threatening way that they can communicate with their peers. So I think there are certainly things that we can do. One, can we require, and it's not anything I've heard yet, but for the social media companies to do PSA ads, just like we did when some of us were growing up, this is your brain on drugs, to do PSA ads, not just on illegal drugs, but any drug that they think is legal that is being sold over the internet in violation of law, because there are laws that exist for prescription drugs. Number two, what's our relationship with DEA, Department of Homeland Security? We've heard about the border, but just like we catch sexual predators online, is our law enforcement and our national law enforcement involved with you on a local law enforcement level, that we're setting traps to catch people so that they know they're being monitored online and monitored even in areas that disappear. So I think there's more that we can do beyond looking at Section 230 in order to try to intercede and interdict, in addition to which education of our children, you've already heard, education of parents especially, and then I absolutely think there is culpability. And for those who think that they're not culpable, that they are not liable, again, if you participate in the commission of a crime, our laws will be, we will modernize our laws to make sure that those that are complicit in criminal endeavors are held accountable. So Sheriff, do you have cooperation with the DEA, with other law enforcement, federal law enforcement agencies? Is there talk of setting, maneuvers to have people online to catch people that are drug dealing, selling drugs, whether they're prescription drugs or illegal drugs? Both are the same because they're using a prescription drug as a lure into other illegal activities.
So yeah, that's a very good question. In Spokane in particular, we have very good relationships with our federal partners. I have several deputies who are assigned to federal task forces. They have federal deputizations. So we have made the overt steps to staff and fund an intelligence group in Spokane that is proactively trying to monitor as much online traffic as we can. The volume is staggering, and a lot of times, we're focusing on, domestic terrorism, international terrorism type traffic. But yes, we do take some steps to monitor it, as difficult as that is, because it is a huge problem. Cooperation from our federal partners, I could not ask for better cooperation. We just need cooperation from these companies. You spoke about culpability. I mean, for a company to know that this type of activity is going on their platform, but yet they continue, I think that shows at least recklessness. And some other platforms, such as Signal and Telegram, where they actually advertise to come use their platform because they don't have to respond to court subpoenas because of where their servers are located, and they don't store any data. Well, I think there's far more culpability there than just recklessness.